the coaching, I both coached Griffin and Dylan in youth football, but that had just ended. It was Dylan's season had just ended, and when Griffin passed away, and so then, as I said, my mom, she had prior to Griffin passing away, though, it was a Mother's Day, actually the day after Mother's Day that very year, she found out she had stage 4 uterine cancer. And so she survived just a lethal surgery where they removed a lot. And so she somehow survived that, only to 8 months later pass away. And so there was kind of a rough time there where, for me, it felt like everybody was going, nobody was coming.
Yeah.
And so, I that led me to a serious bout of depression, to the point where in August of 2015, I actually shot myself and in the head, underneath the chin, and with the intention of not being here. And so, as I look back now, everything I didn't have to live for, I now have to live for. And so it was just a period of time where life was tough, and it was, once you get down, what my experience is, once I got down that low, it didn't feel like it was ever going to end, and unless I ended it.
See that compliment we got just as we went on the air from $4,000?
This compliment you got.
Well, all of us get it, because all of us here at the Barroom Network are working so hard, and nobody works harder than Danny Shimon, who puts so much time into the tape, just like he did with Neil Stopchinski on the Draft on Tap show. Well, he's doing it now for Bear Truth, and we're going to diagnose what went wrong, what happened in this Bears collapse at Los Angeles, and it's going to be Danny Shimon leading the way. How are you, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm doing well. I watched that game probably 3 times now, and it when I'm watching it on Sunday, I felt like it was a continuation of the preseason. I didn't feel like a regular season game to me, just because of the mistakes and just the feel, no rhythm on offense and all that stuff. And then when I watch the tape and you just kind of slow it down and break down, and you just see the lack of communication on defense, the miscommunication up front on offensive line, receivers running, stopping their routes. You see the quarterback ball placement, nowhere near where it should be. It was just, it was just something that needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed quickly. So I don't know if the players didn't get the memo that there's only 3 preseason games this year, not 4. And they continued on into with this regular season game. But there's a ton of things we can break down and look at, and a ton of areas where, even though the score was close, relatively close, halfway through that game, I just never felt the Bears were in that game. I don't know how you guys and you felt, Aldo.
I did. I mean, we'll talk about this at the point in the tape, but it's late in the third quarter and we're trailing by 6 points. Mm-hmm. And there was one particular play that wasn't on your list, Danny, and I included it because it was, to me, a turning point in the game. The Bears had just scored to make it a 6-point deficit. And on 3rd down and 5, they give up a first down. The very next play is the Higbee play that you selected. But I thought giving up a first down and that 3rd down and 5 crushed our hopes crush them, because you know that inside the red zone, the Rams were going to win. And they went on to score 3 consecutive touchdowns after that.
Right. For me, the gut punch was that opening drive by the Rams in the second half, and that Cooper Kupp touchdown, where that miscommunication, in which they got, the matchup they wanted, in terms of the way I saw it is McVay schemed that up nicely, got the mismatch there with Marquis Christian taking on his Cooper Kupp, and I think that right there was a gut punch. And now again, opening drive, third quarter, close it to a 1-score game before halftime, for a drive, third quarter, bam, they go up a touchdown. And again, that's something that for me, I just from there on just felt like it was a Rams game, and the Bears, they got close within the score, but it just never felt like they're going to win that game.
You've already got a question. It's not this one from Chubbs, but it's 4,000 Clovers. But the first question out of the gate for Danny is: does he still think we should have let Kyle Fuller go?
I have no problem with the Fuller move. Now, I understand how Fuller was a Pro Bowl cornerback, but I don't think the corners got us beat in this game, guys. I really don't. I mean, I don't think Jalen Johnson or Kendall Vildor got us beat in this game. I think the miscommunication in the back half of the defense, particularly by the safeties, two veterans, and an inexcusable play to not touch down that receiver when he makes that catch. There's no excuse for that. If I'm the coach, I am pulling both those guys out on the next series and next to me on the sidelines, and they're watching as their backups play, because 2 veteran guys, you got to touch that player, make sure he's down. I think that helped in terms of some of the breakdowns back there. No pass rush, barely any pass rush on the quarterback for the Rams, Matthew Stafford. So I think this, we have a lot of problems we can talk about on defense. I don't think the corners really stuck out to me in terms of horrible play.
The one thing that I'm upset about is that we kept Jimmy Graham at that $9 million, $10 million a year salary, and he plays 15 snaps, which is probably what's going to be his average snap per game count. Now, he's a good player. There's no doubt about it. Red zone wise, he can get it done, and he's a good tutor to Cole Kmet. But I would have rather have taken that money and paid Kyle Fuller the $20 million he was owed, and keep a guy who is still in his prime at the defensive back position, because Ryan Pace didn't build any depth at that cornerback position that we can feel comfortable. The biggest problem with this team right now is at the slot corner. The slot corner, I believe, is going to get burned time after time. We talked about this on the Bear debate. Check this out, Danny. We drop Christian on the 53-man roster. He goes through waivers. And then we pick him back up, and then we start him over Duke Shelley, who was supposed to be the starting slot corner. So what does that tell you? That tells you that they're not organized. They're not thinking ahead. Why would you risk putting on waivers the guy that you should have known by now is going to be your starting slot corner against the Rams? That to me is ludicrous. It's ludicrous. It makes me pissed off.
A couple of points there with the Fuller point. I mean, Fuller was getting paid as a shutdown corner. Or for me, Fuller was not a shutdown corner. He's a guy that got beat a lot on double moves. Yeah, he was a physical presence. He's a guy that was pretty nice in terms of playing some off-man coverage and then be able to kind of read the quarterback and then attack anything up front and make a secure tackle, which was an issue we'll get to in this game. But for me, $20 million for Kyle Fuller is something that is way overpriced, and for me, he's not a shutdown corner. Now, getting to Marquis Christian, I like Marquis Christian and what he showed in the preseason, but I like him as a free safety. I like him as a guy that could potentially come down and cover bigger receivers in the slot, cover those big tight ends in the slot as a slot corner, if you will, but not against a Cooper Kupp. Not against a guy like Robert Woods, guys that are quicker, shiftier, faster than he is. That's a mismatch. And there's a couple of times here we'll show you in this tape where I feel like Sean McVay saw that, took advantage of that mismatch, and tried to get his man, Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods or one of the other quicker, shiftier receivers on a Marquis Christian to take advantage of that mismatch.
Danny, and before we get to the first place, which thank God for picking a positive piece of tape for us to start with. But I got one last point I would love for you to comment on and listen to some of the opinions in the chat room. The play of Andy Dalton, to me, statistically and in feel resembled what we got out of Mitchell Trubisky. So I know they're two different quarterbacks. I know that Mitchell probably would have even played better because he would have been able to scramble out of danger. But a lot of the pass inaccuracies that Dalton had that you pointed out, I got this idea after seeing some of the clips that you chose. Reminded me of Mitchell's inaccuracies. Right. It was like maybe the problem is that it's Nagy's offense that's creating some of these issues with the quarterback. I don't know what the heck is going on.
That's a great point, valid point. And another thing is, where's that deep passing game that they're touting over in the offseason? They got these speed receivers. You got a Marquise Goodwin, you got a Demir Bird, and they're going to sit and say, oh, well, you know what, with the offensive line. Well, you know what? If you're going to bring in speed receivers, you need to know that you need to block it up front, because those deep passes, those deep patterns, they need time up front. So you got to make sure you fortify your offensive line.
That's right.
So it's the whole thing is just discombobulated. I don't get what they're doing on offense, and some is now even questioning some of the stuff on defense. Again, it's just one game. I don't want to jump down the throat of the defensive players here, but offensively, where's that? There's nothing deep down. I think what's his name? Dalton's longest pass was only 11 yards. There's nothing really deep downfield. Same thing with Trubisky. There are some ball placement issues that we talked about. We'll talk about here today with Dalton. The same thing with Trubisky. There are some times where he just zeroed in on one receiver and missed guys that could have been potentially first down. Producing plays. So. Yeah, that's a good point there. But I think for me, how I look at Dalton, he was just a veteran. He's what he is, a veteran backup quarterback, a guy that can come in and give you a decent performance, but your defense is going to have to rally and play lights out in order for them to go ahead and beat a team like the Rams, a team that's favored to win their division, possibly even go to the Super Bowl. So, this is what you're going to get with Andy Dalton, unfortunately. And as long as the Bears are going to continue this facade of saying, hey, Andy Dalton's our starter, he gives us the best chance of winning, which is BS from day one. I think even with those couple of series that we saw Justin Fields come in there and play, we saw what he brings to the offense, the potential he brings to the offense, the dual threat, using his legs, getting out and scoring that touchdown with, on that rate option play. These are the things that I think he could bring to this offense. Is he ready to start from day one? Is he a polished quarterback? No, he's far from it. But I think the talent he brings, his athletic ability, his ability to get the ball downfield with accuracy and touch. Again, you got to block it up front. I'm not saying all of a sudden the offensive line is going to be magically fixed because Justin Fields is in there, but he gives you that potential. He gives you that ability. With Andy Dalton, you don't have confidence. If me and you don't have confidence sitting here watching the game, imagine the players that are on the field busting their butts. How much confidence do they have in Andy Dalton?
Yep, you nailed it. And I'm doing a little bit of a left-hand turn here because based on a lot of the comments, people are talking about what Bill Lazor said in yesterday's press conference. Yesterday, of course, being Wednesday, if you're watching this later in the week. Bill Lazor was asked about Justin Fields. Is he ready? What did he show Bill Lazor?
He looked like he belonged. He looked like he could be successful. Nothing was too big for him, which we didn't think it would be. But I would have said after the preseason that he's moving quickly and ready for whatever's thrown at him. So I don't think anything's changed.
If he's ready for it, then why isn't he getting those additional chances?
I think Matt's probably addressed what his philosophy is on the quarterback position.
Yeah, exactly. Even the coaching staff knows that Justin Fields gives them the best chance to win and be successful. However, if this is this promise that Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace gave Andy Dalton in the offseason for him to sign here, I'm not sure if that's the issue, but even the coaching staff knows that Justin Fields probably gives them the best chance to win as of today.
It's unbelievable what is happening at Hallis Hall. I've never seen anything like it. And I've been watching this teams since the 60s, and I've watched a lot of weird shit. I saw the head coach, Jim Dooley, move in with his quarterback so he could spend 24/7 with them, getting them ready to start. I've seen all sorts of stuff. So, but this, I don't get it. I just don't get it. You got a Ferrari and you're leaving it in the garage to drive.
And the other thing is, I want Bill Lazor to call plays. And I said this in the offseason. I said, once I heard Matt Nagy was taking over play calling, that was as a red flag for me right away. And you can tell it's just the same old stagnant. There's no rhythm to the offense. Yeah, you get a first down here, you get a nice play here, but there's no consistency in the offense. It's always, there's false starts still. There's some plays coming in late. But when Bill Lazor was calling the plays last year with Trubisky under center, you saw the Bears being more productive. They're not a high powered offense by any means, but they are at least consistent, getting a running game going, using some of Trubisky's strength in terms of rolling out and play action, all that stuff. But that's why if I think you put Bill Lazor in here and have him call plays and let Matt Nagy just be a head coach, I think you'll see some production on offense.
All right, let's get started with our tape review. And again, thank you for picking this piece of Philip. It's really helping my blood pressure right now. All right, take it away. This is our running back's big run.
Yeah, so this is Montgomery's, the second play of the game. It busted for 32 yards. And the one thing I want to, stress here is the offensive line didn't have a great game, but also I don't think they had a poor game, if you will. And one guy that I think for me stuck out in terms of watching the tape is Daniels. James Daniels here at right guard. Predominantly more on run blocking than so is his pass blocking. There was a couple times that Aaron Donald kind of whipped right by him, but here he does a great job here. It's inside zone blocking here. He's one-on-one. Aaron Donald does a great job of containing and maintaining his block and basically shielding Aaron Donald from the ball carrier. Effect does a nice job also of kind of cutting off that back end, that backside pursuit, giving Montgomery a nice lane here to go ahead and just bust it up and into that second and third level. And then we see Montgomery here, who's been working on some of his speed elements in the offseason, trying to get faster. Does a nice job, doesn't take it to the house, but does a nice job of getting it down inside the 10-yard line or near the 10-yard line, inside the red zone to set up that first drive there. So again, I just wanted to point out the blocking here inside zone. James Daniels does a nice job one-on-one versus Aaron Donald, which, as we saw as the game progressed, Aaron Donald was a handful. And, right. He's a guy that here, Daniels, I think, does a great job, coming back from that injury from last year, just maintaining that block. And I just want to kind of point that out here.
Well, and I'm really glad you picked up this play and that you mentioned Germain Ifedi, because I really think that his block here might be the key block. The reason I say that is because of the scheme, the entire defensive line is moving to the right. Right, and so for James Daniels, it wasn't that difficult of a block. For Ifedi, he was smart because I think he was going to go help out Daniels, but then he reacts and picks up the left defensive lineman.
This is where I disagree here, because on these inside zone runs, the guy on the edge, either the tackle or sometimes the tight end, his main responsibility is to cut off that backside pursuit. And that's what Ifedi is doing here, is cutting off that backside defender coming down and crashing down on the running back. So that's what he does here. But for me, one-on-one Aaron Donald, every time you block him one-on-one and you kind of, don't allow him to get into and make a play, I think that's a huge key block for me there.
Good point. All right. Excellent stuff. So unfortunately,
that's where the good stuff ends, right?
That's right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Now comes the sad part. All right. So actually, no, what happened? The next clip is our new quarterback.
Yep, Justin Fields. Yep. So this is his first NFL, pass in the regular season. And one thing I want to point out is again, I'm big on pre-snap, right? And that's one of the reasons why we're being told that he's not playing, because they want to kind of protect them in terms of being able to, not get killed out there and being able to, read defensive coverages and see what's going on. So here the Rams are showing pressure that they're going to bring 5 guys at him. So what he does is he identifies pre-snap what is going to be his hot route, and of course it's going to be 84 and Marquise Goodwin. Now the bad thing is the ball placement here. For me, it's behind Goodwin. If he does a nice job of just leading him to the end, to the boundary there, putting that ball to the outside, hitting him in stride, Goodwin probably gets the first down, most likely gets a touchdown as well. So, but because the ball is behind Goodwin, he's got to stop, adjust, make the catch. And then obviously that gives the defender Jalen Ramsey there time to go ahead and corral him and bring him down. But first NFL pass, I'll give him a pass, if you will, on that one in terms of ball placement. But that's something that he's gonna have to work on. And if again he puts it to the outside and kind of leads Goodwin out to the boundary there, that's a first down and probably even a touchdown.
And on this morning's Mike North Advantage, he complained and said Dalton should have stayed for that entire red zone package. I countered with, well, why not give Justin Fields the entire red zone package? Why not, after he completed that, then go out there on the third down play? That to me would have made sense, is give him the 3 or 4 downs inside the red zone. That helps with continuity. Just getting him in there for one play doesn't make any sense. And Mike sort of bought that. But to me, the way Matt Nagy used Justin Fields, which I knew he was, you just don't have a weapon like that and let him rot on the bench. But it wasn't good enough to just give him a play here and then 10 minutes later give him a play and then 10 minutes. He can't get a rhythm going. That's no way to develop a quarterback. That's
a great point, because I heard another great point, and Dave Wannstedt, the former Bears coach, on the Bears postgame show. I saw the replay on Monday morning where he said that what he would do with a guy like Justin Fields is he would just give him the red zone package. Anytime the Bears get into the red zone, because it gives you that added dimension of being able to run with the football, the read option plays. And he's shown the ability, to get the ball into tight windows. He's got the strong arm. He's got some touch to be able to get it out there. So I think give him the red zone plays. Give Andy Dalton everything from between the 20s to the 20, and then let him get in there and be a red zone weapon. And that's how Wannstedt said that he would use him. I thought it was a great idea. I never thought of that, but now you bring it up as well here. Because that added dimension of being that threat, being that athlete back there in the backfield, that would give the Bears another threat to be able to score some points. And again, give Dalton those middle plays in the middle of the field, but make Justin Fields your red zone quarterback.
Andy, come in. We promised you were going to start, and I want you to start against your former team. But every time we get into the red zone, get off the field. Right. Justin's going in. That's it.
That's it.
But no buts, Andy. That's it. Get out.
and then this is the first home game, and if the Bengals, they got some players up front there. That Trey Hendrickson kid they got from the Saints. I saw the game last week against the Vikings. He's bringing pressure. And, we're probably going to have Wilkinson in there, our third string offensive lineman. So, if that offense bogs down, I can see Justin Fields coming into this game, probably start of the second half.
Travis asked, wouldn't that make things predictable if you're bringing Justin Fields in?
No, because you have that, you make it less predictable, because now you have a quarterback that can go back there in a pocket and throw the ball, or you have a quarterback that can do some read option and use his legs to be a threat as well. You have a dual threat quarterback as opposed to just having Andy Dalton back there who's just going to sit back there in the pocket if he's not handing the ball off.
Totally agree with you, and I think the next play is going to illustrate this perfectly.
So this is the infamous 3rd and 6 tip ball here. So first thing I want to take a look at is obviously the Rams are playing what looks like man coverage here across the board. And their linebackers are dropping off here. It looks like, maybe just kind of protect the middle of the field. He's eyeing, looks like Darnell Mooney. And he's already predetermined he's going to go to Darnell Mooney pre-snap, it looks like. And then the other thing is the timing. We heard about Dalton and his as a veteran quarterback, the receivers turning around in preseason and the ball's on them right away. Well, I think for me, he waits way too long. If he's going to go to Mooney, he's got an opportunity to get the ball to Mooney quicker than when he pulls the trigger here. So right there, you see the cornerback, he's retreating. He's backpedaling. If you're going to go to Mooney, you know the route Mooney's going to run. Put the ball in an area where Mooney is going to go ahead and get the ball. So when he turns and he cuts into the inside, the ball is right there in Mooney's gut, and it's either a first down or a touchdown. So that's one play that I think where Andy Dalton makes a mistake. The other thing is if you go back, when you have a chance to go back to the start of that play, if you scan to the right, you have one-on-one coverage there with the guy you mentioned earlier, $9 million man, Jimmy Graham versus Jalen Ramsey. It's one-on-one. I know Jalen Ramsey is a great cornerback, but we saw later on in the game on a 3rd and 8 where Graham versus Ramsey one-on-one on the outside. Graham bodied up Ramsey and was able to come down with a key first down. You got him one-on-one with Jalen Ramsey. He's a bigger body. Just throw it up there. Throw it up to Jimmy Graham, and this is what he does, right? He goes in the red zone. He's a red zone target. throw it up to Jimmy Graham, and that's what been my first read. When I'm looking at this tape right now, I'm looking at Jimmy Graham one-on-one with Jalen Ramsey. Again, hats off to Jalen Ramsey, great corner. But you know what? Jimmy Graham's bigger, and he's proven that he's got the ability to go ahead and box up these corners and make a play in the end zone and come down with a touchdown. That would have been my first read. That would have been my first throw.
Dan Orlovsky said that the reason the ball was intercepted was because Dalton threw too flat of a pass and didn't get it over the linebacker. You agree with that?
Flat, and to me, it was too late. If he's going to give her that, if he knows where he's going, looks like predetermined where he's going to go with that football. Right. Get it to him early. As soon as he makes his break, that ball is in his gut, and that gives the linebacker less chance of less timing to go ahead and make a play on the football. So now, if it's a flat throw, it does look like a flat throw. There's no really any much arc to it, no air underneath it. Looks like more of like a line drive. So that gives the linebacker an opportunity to kind of stick his hand out, tip it, ball gets batted up in the air, and of course, those balls tend to come down in a defender's hands a lot of times. Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to bring up regarding this play, I talked about it on Bear Football, so hopefully you confirm my thought or not correct me. This, to me, furthers my argument about keeping Justin Fields into the red zone package, because you're surveying the field, and you've determined, unfortunately, we don't have the tape before that, but you determined that it's man-to-man coverage. So at this point, if it's Justin Fields, he's already going to be thinking about maybe creating more time for himself, doing the playground football and seeing if somebody can get open, or if not, with his athletic ability, getting closer to the first down or maybe even making a touchdown, as opposed to Dalton, who is just not going to be able to run anywhere. This, to me, is just exhibit 1 million of why Justin Fields should be on the field.
Yeah, and this is something that Justin Fields, again, provides on any play, not just this play. Anytime that he feels like things are being bogged down downfield, he's got no one to go to, he's feeling pressure. We've seen the kid's got a good sense in terms of a pocket pressure. He knows where it's coming from. He knows how to escape, where to find his escape hatch and get out. And Justin Fields is a guy that, going back to his days at Ohio State, he's a guy that while he can run it, he's got that 4.4 speed. He's a guy that doesn't always tuck it and go. He looks downfield. He tries to find receivers get open. And at the last minute, if he can't find anybody, then he goes in and he takes what he can with his feet. So, yeah, again, another added dimension that he would bring that Andy Dalton does not do right now at this stage of his career. So another thing that we're at that point there, if say, Fields doesn't pull a trigger there, and now he's holding the ball, you saw that there was solid protection there, and he could always kind of roll him around, get outside the tackle box, and then either buy time or just throw the football away and play, go for a field goal.
All right, we move forward, and this play is more bad news.
So this is the play that really obviously was an initial gut puncher here. But all last week, what do we talk about in terms of the Rams? Well, what's the key for the Rams? Play action. Play action. Everything's predicated on play action in the Sean McVay / Kyle Shanahan system. Here we see play action. Second, linebackers and second level defenders bite up. Now all of a sudden they have to stop and turn around as they see Stafford rolling out. There's another angle here, which we don't see in this part here, but Eddie Jackson also is biting down. They start off in a too high safety right there. This angle right here. They're starting off in a too high safety look here. Play action. Jackson starts coming down. Looks like all of a sudden gets caught flat-footed, and all of a sudden he's being spun around. And Jefferson has that inside angle on Jalen Johnson, and he just breaks it out to the outside. Gibson's not in any position to make a play there. But what's inexcusable for me here is they do not touch the player down. You cannot do that in the NFL. You are both veteran safeties in the NFL. This is not college football, guys. You need to touch that player. Even if you think he's been touched by somebody else, you touch him as well, just to make sure. That to me is something that I would have taken both these guys out and benched them, because of the fact that that's the mental area you just cannot have. Jackson biting on that play action, getting spun around, fine. I can live with that. That was just safety, reading something, keying on something, being aggressive, but not touching him when he's down. That to me is inexcusable.
Greg Gabriel said that not only should they have touched him, but Gibson right there could have hit him and it would have been perfectly legal. And so you want to, try to inflict some pain, so that way the next time the guy runs the route or is anywhere near you, he's thinking, man, that guy hurt me so that did not happen. So it's not only just touching, it's playing bear football. It's being
aggressive, being a physical defense. So, you're supposed to be predicated on physicality, being smart, being aggressive. And in this case here, in this game, I didn't see much of that.
Yeah. Now, another thing that I want to point out that Dan Orlovsky said, and I wasn't quite buying it, but maybe you will. When Stafford rolls out, Orlovsky says he puts his shoulders, Stafford does, parallel to the line of scrimmage. So that way it fools Eddie Jackson into thinking that he's going to throw that ball to the numbers on the left. Now watch here. See that little pause there. Orlovsky said that he's freezing Eddie Jackson there.
But Jackson's already spinning here.
Exactly.
Jackson is already turning around. So I don't buy that. Now with the play action, when you see with the play action, you see Jackson take a couple steps in. So either he's thinking he's coming down for run support. Right there, he's coming in, and then, or he's going to try and jump that route on Jefferson. But when he gets spun around, Jefferson now sees that he's out of position. He's already has inside leverage on Jalen Johnson, and Gibson's already out of position, so he's got a free run there on that route there, and it just throw it up, lay it up, and it's easy, big time play there.
Man, that was about as frustrating as it gets.
That's like the first series for the Rams, and that really, like I said, takes the wind out of your sail. You're excited. It's Sunday night, beginning, first game of the season, and you drive all the way down the field. You get into position to score. The ball is tipped, the turnover, and then next thing you know, bam, Rams score on their opening possession, and you don't have a brain fart or whatever you want to call it. You don't even touch the guy down on the field. Now the Rams could have gone on and possibly scored after that, sure. Or they could not have. You could have held them to a field goal. Now, imagine if you hold them to a field goal after that big play. Now you got some momentum back on your side. And football is a game, I believe, full of momentum, swings and back and forth. If you get that momentum back after they took away from you with that interception, you hold them to a field goal. The offense says, hey, you know what? Our defense is here to play tonight. So now if we make a mistake, we got a defense that can go back there and has our back and can stop and get the ball back for us potentially. So, that would have been a huge play there. But
indeed. All right, our next play is an incomplete pass to A-Rob. Take it away, brother.
So the Bears went 0 for 4 on fourth down. So Matt Nagy was going for it on every chance he got. To me, this first it shows aggression. Also shows a coach that knows his defense. His offense needs to score points because his defense might not be able to stop the opposing offense. That's what I took away from it. But this is the first one here, 4th and 4. And if we run the play here, again, this is Dalton here, a veteran quarterback. We kept hearing about him, his ability to get ball placement, get the ball to a receiver as they turn. If you go back and slow it down, the ball placement here is horrible. It's behind A-Rob. If he does a good job of just putting it in front of A-Rob, throwing it to a spot and throwing A-Rob open, this is an easy first down catch for the Bears. And this continues to drive. And now they continue their momentum in terms of, picking up more first down, more yards possibly here. But again, ball placement here was just bad by Andy Dalton, and all we heard about the veteran, his ability just to throw it to receiver, throw him open. But I didn't see it in this first game.
But number 85, the tight end Cole Kmet, that should have been the first read, and I think that it was. And Matt Nagy was asked about that, but he didn't have a suitable response for me to play. But take a look at number 85. To me, this is an easy first down if he throws it to what should be his first read. Look how wide open it is.
Yep.
That's not only a first down. That could be a touchdown. Who knows?
So what are we seeing here, guys? We're seeing a veteran quarterback making predetermined throws, right? With bad ball placement on a couple of plays, throwing flat footballs. But Justin Fields can't play yet.
Right.
I don't get that. And this is a veteran quarterback. This is a guy that's supposed to be prepared and be able to play and get you these easy, passes and get first downs. But yet, we have to wait for Justin Fields to develop.
Pusha T is absolutely right. Bill Lazor was asked about it, and he did one of these where he just looked down and he goes, "You know what? I'm not going to answer that. I don't want to lie to you." And so you're wondering what's going on here.
Could there be some dissension within the ranks within that coaching staff? Now that could be an issue there as well.
Felt that way. It felt that way with Bill Lazor, and that response to about Justin Fields being ready, to me, and John Buffone and Tyler Ellis and I talked about this. To me, it felt like, hey, I'm throwing my hat in the ring because to be the head coach when you fire this asshole, because this guy
could be the interim coach. Yeah, you never know. I mean, it's funny because after this game, all of a sudden Matt Nagy became the highest in Vegas in terms of the odds. First coach to get fired. Like that all just out of one game. We know there's overreaction Mondays especially after the first week of the opening season of the NFL. But that was like huge. It was like we went from 0-1 to all of a sudden he's now going to be one of the first coaches fired. So we'll see if Vegas knows a lot more than we do sometimes.
Yep, they sure do. All right, let me see if this is the right one. No, that's the one I just showed. By the way, let me show it one more time because Chubbs says that Dalton didn't read the blitz out of that play, which is why he didn't throw to 85, Cole Kmet. And when I posted it on Twitter, I got somebody saying the same thing. He didn't have time to throw it to the tight end because the blitzer was in his face. But I say that you should know this should be a throw right here. You should know that 85 is the guy.
Well, for me, yeah. So and I've never played quarterback in my life, but I've sat in some quarterback meeting rooms, and one thing I've always heard in terms of quarterback coaches and the way they teach it is you always throw into the blitz. You always throw into where the blitzer is coming from, because that's always going to be most likely is going to be a spot there for your guy to go. 80%. So if you know Kmet's going that way, the blitz is coming from your left. There's an easy completion right there for you, like you said, for a first down. Mm-hmm. But again, he's right there. He can throw right easily, lob it over into Kmet. Kmet gets it, and it's easy first down, easy conversion. Yep. But again, he's a guy that's already predetermined where he's going to go with the football. He's going to go to A-Rob, and you can just tell because he didn't go through a progression. Even if you throw it to the running back there in the flat, that's also a possibility of getting possibly a first down as well. So, but these are the guy, like I said, predetermined. It was going to go to A-Rob, and just unfortunately, the ball placement was horrible.
Yeah. Chubbs is saying you can tell he didn't recognize the blitz because he didn't change the blocking assignment. And that's probably a fair argument there. All right. Let's go to our next clip here. What do we got here? Which one is this one? Let me check my notes here.
This is the strip sack on Dalton.
More good news.
This is the second fourth down play. So we talked about that last A-Rob play where they could have potentially, whether it's the A-Rob, better ball placement or to Kmet, reading that blitz there and getting to him, converted on fourth down there, continue that drive. This is the second fourth down play here as well. So this is where first of all, up front, I'm not sure what Jason Peters was doing. It looked like he was initially trying to help Whitehair on Aaron Donald. The next thing the linebacker's getting past him, and he's all confused, and he gives up the pressure and eventually the sack there. But it looks like Dalton's trying to go through a progression. But for me, he just took way too long because his primary read and his primary guy, as soon as that ball snapped, should be the quarterback. The running back, Montgomery, coming out of the backfield. If you take a look at this play, you throw to Montgomery, that's an easy first down right there. Mm-hmm. No one around him, no one within the screen, a Ram player here, never near Montgomery. You throw it to him, that's your first read. That's the guy who gets the first down for you. You go ahead, now you convert again. So, miscommunication up front, no doubt about it, between Peters and Whitehair. But then for me and when I'm watching this tape, my first thing was throw it to Montgomery. He's wide open. He's right there. It's not like he has to turn around. He's behind him to his non-throwing shoulder. It's to his right throwing shoulder, right there in front of him. Dump it off to him, and he'll probably get the first down for him.
And perhaps another play that illustrates why Justin Fields should be in there, because he probably would have been able to move out of the pocket. Let's say Fields didn't throw it to Montgomery. He might have been able to step up or away from those defensive linemen and create some space for himself.
The only thing is, I believe that the interior of the defensive line was also pushing back the offense. If you run it here real quick, we can take a look at it. But I think that they're getting some pretty good pressure up there as well. So they had him pretty much secluded. So I don't know. Even if Justin Fields is in there, I think it would be hard for him to get and escape from that because, like I said, they had him all surrounded there. So.
Mm-hmm. And I think I spotted Aaron Donald with hands to Mustafa's face, but that's a different story for another day. All right, our next play on the list is this one. Oh, we got some good news here.
So this is the
Montgomery's touchdown, right?
I think you skipped. This is the On my list, I had the Rams converting on a play action.
Oh, okay. Let me call that one up. Hold on a second here. Rams. Let's see.
But this is the David Montgomery touchdown. You can go ahead and run it. That's fine.
Hold on just a second, since I've got this. Where the hell did that play go? Okay, I'll run this one then.
Yeah, this is for me. This is a David Montgomery. This is the touchdown run. This is where he cuts it to a one score game before halftime, and now you're feeling some momentum. If you're a Bears fan, Bears team, you're thinking, all right, this is one hell of a run. This is an all David Montgomery run because Mustafa and Effetti get beaten off the line of scrimmage at the snap. Aaron Donald and Joseph Day are in the backfield. He runs through an arm tackle from Aaron Donald and then just kind of bowls over the safety there at the goal line and just runs through him. So this, for me, David Montgomery ran like a man possessed that day. I think it looked like he was a guy out there trying to prove a point. He's a guy that says, "Hey, this is my year. I've arrived. I'm a lead back here and for this team, and I'm going to carry this team on my back." And I just hope to continue to see him play like this, run like this way. This is what we saw from Montgomery when he was at Iowa State, running through arm tackles, the contact power, the contact balance to be able to run through those arm tackles and get through them. But now he's doing it against guys like Aaron Donald and some of the other big boys here up front. That really is impressive. So that, to me, I just wanted to point that out, is that was totally all David Montgomery. The blocking up front we see right there was just horrible. He was able to get back there, get through those arm tackle attempts, and just power his way into the end zone. Again, a big play. You're back within one score now. You're heading into the half, and you feel like you have momentum on your side there.
Matt Nagy was asked about Montgomery's carries. I think he ended up with 16. And he said, well, because, we were behind in the fourth quarter, those 4 or 5 extra carries that we wanted to give him, get him to 20, were taken away because they were behind. Is that satisfactory to you?
No.
To me, it did seem like they were feeding him the ball, but do you think they should have fed him more?
Yeah. He was averaging 6.8 yards a carry. 16 carries, 108 yards. He was gushing them up front in the middle of that defensive line. Whether you get a first down by throwing it or you get a first down by running it for 10 or 11 yards, you get a first down and you continue drives going. And I think he went away from Montgomery in the running game way too quick, especially the way he was running. Now, the one concern I did have, there was one play where Montgomery took a hit on his hand and he had to come out for a couple of plays there. And I got a little concerned because it looked like, and I was trying to read the lips and I tried to keep rewinding and looking at the doctor was looking at his finger. I thought he said it's broken. He made like a face and said it's broken. So I'm like, oh man, he broke his finger. But then he came back in and he continued to play. So I don't know if that hand was bothering him, and that's kind of why they kind of went away from him a little bit. But at 6.8 yards a clip in terms of running the ball, he was effective most of the game. Offensive line was doing a solid job, especially interior run blocking at least, at that point in the game. So, and then now if you make yourself one-dimensional against this Rams team with that front four, that's where you get yourself in trouble. And that's how we saw in the second half when it became one-dimensional, more so. We saw the Rams get some sacks, get some pressure on the quarterback, tip balls, and so on and so forth. So I think I would have a mistake to go away from Montgomery because, like you said, at one point in that second half, they cut it back down to a one-score game. It's just a matter of not getting the ball back and continuing, to march downfield, methodically, if you will, and continue to put some pressure on the Rams defense. So I just don't know if Matt Nagy got into his head and said, my defense is giving up a chunk of plays. It doesn't look like they can stop these guys. And he just felt like he had to start throwing the ball down the field. But again, no deep passes down the field that we saw. Dalton's furthest pass from line of scrimmage about 11 yards. So I'm not sure what he was doing there. So that's why I'm saying it's so much up and down with this offense. There's no rhythm. You can't find an identity. Even when they're running the ball successfully, he goes away from it because he wants to throw the football. It just you need to be able to call a game and use your player's strength and score points. The name of the game is score points. And I know it was a famous quote with Matt Nagy. He said, they didn't bring me here to run the I formation. Well, you know what? Justin Fields scored out of that I formation, right? Because he had the fullback there sitting in an I formation, JP Holtz. So it's you got to score points. That's the name of the game. And no matter how you do it, you got to just do it. And it just looks like Matt Nagy more so than not, he just wants to do it his way. He wants to do it nice with passing game and get fancy and all that stuff. It just doesn't want to take whatever is given to him.
Laz in the chat room says that a lot of the plays were coming in late. Were you frustrated by plays coming in late, and
that's a theme again with Matt Nagy is when he's the play caller. We saw the 2 previous years, late plays, using burning timeouts early in the half. When Bill Lazor took over, that wasn't the case, guys. Plays were coming in. There was 15 12 seconds on the play clock. The guys were at the line of scrimmage already. The quarterback can go through some of his pre-snap checks and reads and all that stuff. So that's why when I heard Matt Nagy's taking back play calling, that was a red flag to me back in the offseason. And so far, it's a big time red flag.
And during yesterday's press conference with Lazor, as he was talking about a particular play, he said, and it almost sounded like he was saying it under his breath, as you know, I'm not calling the plays anymore. And it just seems like there is a rift going on between those two guys. All right.
Seems like,
go ahead.
It seems like Bill Lazor came to that press conference with an agenda. It looks like he was trying to get something out there to the press corps, whether it's to the management or to the press corps itself. Like, hey guys, there's something going on here that I'm not happy with. And before I get thrown under the bus, I want to make sure you guys know the truth.
Yep. It's Tressman all fucking over again. Excuse my language. All right. Here's that play that you were referencing earlier. I do have it now.
Right. And this is I believe the 4th and 1. Is that what we're looking at here?
Yes.
Yeah, the 4th and 1. And the thing with the Rams, we talked about it last week, guys, is just, everything's predicated on play action. Even if they're not running the ball on big chunks, big plays, but the fact that it just sucks up that defense here, the second and third level linebackers come up. And what happens here? Jefferson runs across in that vacated space and gets a nice, easy throw for a first down. Just the threat of you handing the ball off to the running back has to, the second level, the linebackers, the safeties have to kind of respect that. They have to, just in case the ball is handed off, and that stops them in their tracks, allows for some open field there. And that's where Jefferson then comes in, uses his speed to run across the field there, wide open area, big patch of green area there. And all Stafford do just place the ball and, hit him in stride, basically. Easy first down.
All right. Tell me about, you and I were talking a little bit about this before we went live. Number 33 for the Bears, Jalen Johnson. He has an opportunity in my mind to intercept. You saw it right there, but look at him from this angle. There he is, number 33. He stops right there, and then the ball goes right to his left. If he would have kept running, he would have got his hands on that ball. Am I wrong?
Run it back again, because I think because Jalen Johnson is in a trail technique. He's trailing Jefferson. Is that the different player you're looking at? The one in front of him? I'm talking about. Let's see here. I'll run it again because I didn't see that number.
Yeah, to come up in a second.
Because Johnson's got him 1-on-1. He's trailing him. He's on a running across that number. I think is that Vildor?
Yeah, that's Vildor who's trailing. It's number 33.
No, I think that's Vildor who you're talking about, because Vildor stops right there.
Right.
Yeah, Vildor stops right there because and I think he stops because he thinks Matt Stafford's going to run the ball. Stafford's not going to run the ball, guys. Stafford's going to throw that football. So if Vildor continues with his drop, gets back to his area, his spot, worst case scenario he bats that ball away, but best case scenario he picks it off. So Johnson's actually trailing.
You're absolutely right.
Johnson.
You're absolutely right. It is Vildor. Yeah. When I saw that. When you picked this play, I said, holy cow, what about 22 there? He screwed up. Anyway. Yep. All right. I want to take a break, and then we'll look at the other half of plays. And I put together a few Khalil Mack plays because we want to discuss a little bit about his play. Where is he? Is he lost it? Are they scheming against him and so forth? I don't have a comprehensive look at all of his snaps, but I do have all of his snaps from the first 2 series. And so we'll look at that and some of the other stuff that you collected, and we'll do that after this.
The Barroom Network presents 2 fired up Bears fans. They are ready to rumble on the Bear Debate. Baseball at the Barroom. On Monday nights, get ready for the Friendly Confines Extra Innings. It's 30 minutes, it's clever, it's concise, and it's all Cubs coverage. That's followed by a killer White Sox show, South Burbs Hitmen. Then on Thursday afternoon, it's Cubs and Sox opinions and analysis with Crosstown Crosstalk. Baseball at the Barroom. Join us live and or on demand.
Danny, you want to tell people how big of an ass kicking you gave me in fantasy football?
I was just gonna say I wanted to come back, but I don't want to rub it in. Guys, if you guys were wondering, yes, I did beat Aldo again last week in our first week 1 matchup head to head in fantasy football. It's I believe about the 4th or 5th win in a row I have against your team there, Aldo. So you might want to tune into the Fantasy Goon guys and get some advice next time we play.
I did. I should have tuned in before the draft, because that's where you beat me. You've got such a solid squad. And I don't have a terrible team, but it's not nearly as good as yours. You beat me by 40 points or something like that?
I believe so. At some point, I knew I had the game in the bag, so I didn't even bother checking anymore.
Yeah, you had it in the bag on the Thursday night football game. I mean, you were beating me by like 60 points that night. Man, it's just painful. Anyway, I want to ask people to head over to deepdishtees.com. Take a look at the stuff they got there. And there's also a tag for the Barroom shirts, T-shirts, mugs, and so forth, and would really help us out if you made a purchase and bought a couple of shirts and so forth. It would help us pay the bills here. It's deepdishtees, TEES.com /barroom if you want to go straight to our part of the website. And again, would really appreciate a couple of purchases from you. All right.
I made a couple purchases for my draft on tap shirts. I'm waiting for those to come in. So hopefully next time you sporting some draft on tap stuff.
Nice. Are you going to have the cutoff so you can show your muscles and stuff?
No, I'll leave the muscles up to you.
Yeah. Give me about 6 years. Maybe I'll get something going here. All right. Cooper, we talked about the play where Eddie Jackson and Gibson didn't touch the wide receivers. Well, on this next play, this is
more miscommunication,
wide open.
Right.
I've never seen a wide
receiver. This to me is a gut punch. This to me where it was just way too easy. This is the first drive, starting the second half here in the third quarter, and it was just something that it looks like we have the right play. Okay, yeah. So this is, if you go back here and take a look at it, it looks like they're passing the corners, passing Cup off to the safety. But the safety, no one's picking up Cup. So it's like the miscommunication here in the backfield. Where is it? Where is it happening? This is where Sean Desai, who, by the way, was the safeties coach before he became defensive coordinator, he's got to go back and say, guys, what's going on here? Because it looks like, as you hear, Christian stops because he feels like he's got safety help over the top. Right. The safety's is not going anywhere near Cooper Kupp. And this is just a blown assignment, obviously. A huge gut punch, similar to the first touchdown with Jefferson, just as an easy score. It really just, I think this took the wind out, at least out of my sails. And I thought maybe possibly even the Bears sails. But like you said earlier, they did come back and score, make another one score game again, but just way too easy, miscommunication, misassignments, someone blew the coverage. And I don't know if Nagy talked about this or if the coaching staff will ever put anybody under the bus here, but it's just clear as day there that was just a blown assignment there.
Yeah, and they won't give us a full explanation as to who was responsible with the miscommunication. They speak in vagaries so that we can all probably, make assumptions and blame people who shouldn't be blamed and so forth. That's why I like working with you and Greg Gaber. You guys can offer up, a nuanced, knowledgeable evaluation of what's going on here. But boy, it would be nice if there was an excellent column written by Rick Morrissey of the Chicago Sun-Times, basically saying, isn't it time, Nagy, just to be honest and just tell people, yeah, this guy screwed up. Yeah, like Mike Vrabel did with Tennessee, and say, yeah, that Julio Jones, we don't teach that here. That penalty, he called out players and was straight up about it.
Well, that's the thing is Nagy. It seems like Nagy just wants to be a player's coach, and it started off his first year, he had a lot of success with the whole, the dancing in the locker room afterwards, and it was a feel good feeling around the team, around the organization. But when it comes time to lay down the hammer and say, all right, guys, you guys are not putting up to the standards, like Eddie Jackson, and I got to give you credit. You have been hammering this point to me for the last year and a half about Eddie Jackson in terms of his lack of play, his lack of production. I always kind of defended him and saying, you know what, I felt like Chuck Pagano put him in a position where he wasn't being utilized to his strengths. Eddie Jackson, a former corner in college, he converted to safety. He's more of a ball hawking safety guy who can utilize some of the corner ability, some of his coverage skills, and be able to jump routes and make big plays. But you know what? Those have stopped. No more interceptions. We don't see any of those big plays, those pick sixes anymore. And his run defense has been so at best, right? And his ability to tackle in open field has been so at best as well. And you pointed out, and you've said that this guy has played substandard football for the last year and a half. And I'm coming around to that now, because now he's playing, like I said, in a scheme where he got that success under Vic Fangio. Again, Sean Desai was on the Fangio staff. Sean Desai was his position coach under Fangio. So this is a guy that should know the defense, should know the system, should be now playing in a position where he's more familiar with what he's doing and more, to his strengths, if you will. And again, it's just one game. And like I said earlier, I don't want to throw the whole entire defense down after one game. We'll see if they improve, and we'll see what happens, if they continue to get better, week after week. But so far, man, Eddie Jackson, you're gonna, once you got paid, it just seemed like it was all downhill in terms of his play on the field.
Sort of reminds me, this defense reminds me of the Cubs of Chris Bryant and Javi Baez and Anthony Rizzo and those guys that were just traded away. All the talent in the world, but it just seemed like they were coasting. And after they won the World Series, never had the killer instinct to, go for another one. Maybe I'm just,
But at least that Cup team won a World Series. At least they reached a mountaintop, right? The Bears haven't done anything. They won a division, and next thing you know, it's all downhill since then.
Very true. Very true. All right. We got Justin Fields touchdown here. Take it away.
Yeah, again, this is one reason I wanted to point this play out is obviously, again, we talked about it. Justin Fields gives you that in that red zone, that option, that read option, the ability to use his legs to be a threat there as well. But for me, guys, JP Holtz, whenever he's in a game, he does positive things. It's not, big play touchdown, making plays, but it's a block here and there. On special teams, he's always one of the first guys down the field and making some key contribution. I can't say that word now, so I'm going to stop it. But he's always effective, right? He's always out there making plays. So, but again, here, JP Holtz, you take a look at this play here. He literally, guys, blocks two Rams defensive players on this play here to allow Justin Fields to go ahead and sneak into the end zone. He gets Leonard Floyd, and then he comes up here on the corner here, and then it allows Fields to go ahead and sneak in behind him for that touchdown. So again, just wanted to point out some of the positives here. And again, for me, Holtz is a guy that continues. Whenever he's out given a chance out to make plays, he's a guy that does something positive on offense, predominantly as a blocker. And a lot of times that, we've seen some last year where a lot of those big runs by Montgomery were JP Holtz lined up in the I formation as a lead blocker, as a fullback, springing some holes, some blocks there, and allowing Montgomery to go ahead and get into that second and third level of the defense. So again, I just wanted to point out here, Holtz, positive contributions here on offense.
Yeah, I thought that was a great job by him, and another great illustration of what Justin Fields can do for this team. And he just can't do stuff like that in the red zone. He can do it at any point of the field whatsoever. All right. Next on your list is that Higbee pass play, which was huge.
Right.
But
Right.
the play right before it is one that I added because I thought this was a turning point. So again, the situation is that the Bears have come within 6 points of the Rams. It is now 3rd down and 5. The Rams have the ball at the 30. I'm going to play the play at regular speed, and then we'll go back and you can analyze why did they give up this first down, which was a backbreaker in my opinion. Here it goes.
So it looks like the Bears are looking like they're bringing the house here, and they have a single high safety.
There's a lot of communication going on here. If you could read the body language. Look at Eddie Jackson, pointing that way. There's a lot of movement going on. And then the play right over the middle. It seems
right.
Like
so, and this is I'm glad you picked this play because this is one of the plays where, all right, 3rd and 5, right? Most likely they're going to pass, right? And you look like you're going to bring some extra pressure. So what do? You try to get fancy. You drop Robert Quinn back in coverage. Okay, off the line, 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, basically back to the first down marker.
I'm dying.
You're putting him in a position to not play to his strength, and I cannot stand that. Robert Quinn is a pass rusher. He's a guy you brought in here. You paid him a boatload of money to get to the quarterback. On a 3rd and 5 play, we need someone to get to the quarterback. Don't get fancy with it. Just let him go upfield and get to the quarterback and try to bring some pressure. You drop him back here. Higbee then just goes and sits in the. It looks like they drop into a zone. It looks like they're going to blitz. But they end up dropping like 3 or 4 defenders back here and sitting in a zone there. And next thing you know, Higbee sits in that opening and gets an easy first down.
Mm-hmm. Gets right past Quinn. But I do think number 58, Roquan Smith, I do think that he could have disrupted this play better. He hesitates, and the other angle will show it even better. Watch 58 in the middle of your screen. He will drop back into pass coverage, and he hesitates for a brief second. See him? Right there.
Yep.
And that might have cost the play, but you're absolutely right. Once again, we have a guy that was brought in here to pressure the quarterback, falling into coverage on a 3rd down and 5 when we need pressure on the
get off the field. Exactly. That's what drives me crazy. I mean, there are certain disguises you can do, and where you can kind of get offensive, quarterbacks off of their game, and think, all right, this guy's coming. Next thing you know, he's dropping back into coverage, and he takes away a passing lane. You get those tips and you get those interceptions sometimes that way. But we see it doesn't work with Robert Quinn. This is a guy that just. He's a pass rusher. That's all he does. That's what he does well. At least coming into the Bears last season, is let him get upfield. I think he had. We talked earlier before the show. For me, the guys that really kind of showed up was Roquan Smith on defense, Akeem Hicks, and Robert Quinn. Robert Quinn had 2 quarterback hits and a half a sack along with Akeem Hicks. So I think this was a game where he was kind of getting some pressure. He was kind of making some plays here. And again, to drop him back 5 yards off the line of scrimmage on a 3rd and 5 play where you need to pressure the quarterback and make him get rid of the football quicker and under duress. I just don't get it. I don't see it. Sometimes you just get really cute. These coaches trying to make this game way more difficult than it really should be. Pass rushers rush the passer. Defensive backs, linebackers can drop back into coverage, but I just don't see why you would do that with Robert Quinn.
Yeah, that might be the soundbite of the show. These coaches try to make this more difficult than it needs to be. You're absolutely right. Sometimes just good old simple football is the way to go. Sometimes you just need to run the ball 25, 30 times. Sometimes
even if you're trailing by 10 points or 13 points.
Very good point. All right, here's the big play to Higbee, the Rams tight end.
Again, guys, I keep stressing. We stressed this last week. Play action. Even if the Rams weren't the first 3 quarters, they were not gushing the Bears on in the running game. Right. By just a threat of them giving the ball off. It just keep freezing the linebackers, keep freezing some of those defensive players back there, and all that does is that allows here. Case in point, Higbee is going to get past Roquan Smith because Roquan Smith is stuck there looking at that play action. Mm-hmm. Roll the tape here now. Roquan now is in a trail technique. His back's to the ball. Higbee's already 5 yards ahead of him. Easy catch, 38-yard completion, easy first down. Again, just a threat of play action, and this is what it predicates on this offense that the Rams run here. Again, and we talked about Montgomery not getting the carries we wanted or touches we wanted. He was gushing at 6.8 yards a pop there on his carries, but yet, Matt Nagy felt like down by 13 points, he had to go away from the run and just, chuck the ball down the field. So this is what I'm telling you, effective running game, especially an effective play action, freezes that second level of that defense, gives you a lot of green area back there, a lot of grass for your intermediate routes, for your crossing routes, for you guys to get open, especially if you have quick, shifty, athletic receivers like the Rams do here, like the 49ers are building in San Francisco as well. So this is why I love this offense, and this is why I love the way Sean McVay and guys like Kyle Shanahan, they scheme and they get their players in positions to succeed, utilizing their strengths.
One of the things that we talked about when we were previewing the Rams on last week's show is we talked about the Bears need to pressure Stafford, of course, and that Stafford is so good at stepping into the pocket and so forth, and that an inside pass rush was necessary. Well, this play just kind of illustrates that we weren't getting much pressure at all from those inside pass rushers. I mean, look, they're being stood up. It's just not pretty. The entire line there was
right. I gave props and kudos to Akeem Hicks earlier, and I think he popped for me on tape at least. And this is one play where he's being pretty much stood up still here by one or actually two offensive linemen here. So, but the one thing what we talked about last week, guys, with Stafford is pre-snap. What he does pre-snap, he can identify what you're doing. He can read tendencies based off of film study. He knows how to attack you. He knows where to go with. And a lot of guys kind of came back last week and said, "Oh, Stafford's a bomb," just based off what he did with the Lions. Guys, he didn't have that type of offensive weapons he has now with the Rams that he had with the Detroit. He didn't have the type of play caller that he has now with Sean McVay and the Rams. And it's just one game. I know, again, I don't want to get all over the Stafford love here, but 312 yards or something like that, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 20 of 26. The guy didn't look rattled at all. Calm, veteran presence. Even if he got sacked or he got pressured, you never felt like he was ever going to put that ball in harm's way. There was one time where that Jalen Johnson did a nice job of timing his jump and getting into that passing window and almost could have had an interception. Probably should have had an interception. But other than that, I can't really think of a time where the Bears really got to Stafford and at all where the football was up in danger or thrown up into a dangerous area.
The 4,000 Clovers just said that if you look closely, Mac almost looks like he's not giving much of an effort on that play. And I don't agree with that fully. Let's take a look at number 52. He's down at the bottom of the screen. He stands up here. He's up against the tight end and the right tackle. There is a quick little contact on Mac.
Chip. Yep, that's a chip.
That's the word I was looking for, to disrupt his pass rush. And I'm telling you, this happens a lot more. There was an article, I won't mention the website or the person that wrote it, but in that article, the writer went back and looked at all of Khalil Mack's snaps and said that he was only chipped a couple of times. That's not true. That's just not true. He was chipped there. It was very subtle. But he was chipped there. And he has his back to the offensive tackle, which isn't great technique, but he was chipped into that.
But the other thing, if you notice too, there is if that chip didn't stop Mac, if Mac still was able to get off of that block and get upfield, you have Cooper Kupp coming in motion there.
Right.
Another body to get in his way. And you see Kupp there just kind of stops. I mean, when he sees Mac's not going to be part of the play, he kind of slows down and stops. So that leads me to believe that Kupp was also there as a fail safe there in case, hey, if Mac gets by that chip, he gets by the offensive lineman, we still have Kupp there to go and just kind of, get in his way, kind of disrupt his path to the quarterback to allow us to go ahead and get this ball downfield. And again, this is all scheming. This is Sean McVay at his best. Cooper, we saw one play where the Bears threw a bubble screen to Allen Robinson and they had Damiere Byrd trying to guard Jalen Ramsey. I think Jalen Ramsey outweighs Damiere Byrd by at least 20 pounds or so. And he just literally used Damiere Byrd as a tackling dummy and just bully himself right back into Allen Robinson, tackling him for a 3 or 4 yard loss. So it's knowing your personnel, knowing how to utilize your personnel, scheming your personnel to put him in position to succeed. Again, Cooper Kupp does nothing in that play other than just kind of run right in front of Khalil Mack. Now, if Mack gets past his offensive lineman, guess what? Cooper Kupp's there to go ahead and, put a shoulder into Mac. And yeah, he might not block him, and slow him, eliminate him, but he's going to slow him down. And that gives, Matthew Stafford 1 or 2 seconds to get rid of that football.
Yep, exactly. So we're going to talk more about Khalil Mack in a little while, but let's get through the rest of the plays Danny has selected for us. What do you got next on your list?
This is that Cooper Kupp play.
Yes,
Again, I just want to again stress here, McVay utilizing his talent to his strength here. He's got these receivers stacked here. He's got Jefferson and Kupp stacked here, and he's got Jalen Johnson and then Marquise Christian, who we talked about earlier. A guy who's done some positive things in the preseason so far. A guy who's shown that he could cover some of those bigger body players, the tight ends, the big receivers. However, in this match here, he passes Jefferson off to Jalen Johnson, and now he's stuck with Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is a quick twitch, fast, quick receiver. There's no way Marquise Christian, a guy who was playing safety coming into the offseason, can keep up with Cooper Kupp. And again, this is, for me, Sean McVay utilizing his players, putting them in a position to succeed. One-on-one Kupp versus Christian, that's a mismatch. And I think, again, the Bears, once this happened, Stafford had to go to Kupp because he knew there was no way Kupp was going to be blocked one-on-one by Marquise Christian.
Man, McVay, I think, so outcoached Matt Nagy in this game. I mean, he came in with a brilliant plan.
Well, I think he outcoached Sean Desai as well. Because I think Desai, first game as defensive coordinator in the NFL, I think he was, welcomed to the big leagues, in a rude way here by Sean McVay.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, man, I'm starting to wonder if we're ever going to win a game. No, I'm exaggerating.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about it later on, but I'm saying this is going to be a tough schedule. If things don't improve here quickly on both sides of the football, this could get ugly quickly, guys.
All right, Kyrie Tonga. You've been warning us about him, and here's a play where he just got blown back.
Again, I've been pounding the table for the last 2 drafts that the Bears need to get a quality, backup for Eddie Goldman. And they've been doing patch job works here with some veterans and John Jenkins and guys like that. And then but they're bringing Tonga and a guy who's got some size, who's got some potential to be a good run stuffer, but I didn't see Tonga being a dominant run stuffer at BYU. So it was hard for me to see him being a dominant run stuffer here at the next level, at the NFL level. And here it's just, again, we see a guard here, Corbett, do a nice reach block, go ahead and just grab him, turn him, spin him out of the way. Really no resistance whatsoever by Tonga. Again, he's a rookie. He's learning. For me, I think he's more of a developmental player who should be on the practice squad as opposed to being on your 53-man roster and being your primary backup to Eddie Goldman. Now, if you take a look at this play from the beginning, both Blackson and Hicks do a nice job of getting into the backfield, penetrating the backfield. And for me, if Eddie Goldman was in there, he probably controls that block, and he's in the backfield. And this play is dropped down for a loss or probably no gain whatsoever. Instead, you have a rookie in Tonga who I feel like is not ready for prime time, get pushed out of the way easily, and this is an easy touchdown for the Rams.
Yep, it is indeed, and let's hope that Tonga learns from this. But I do agree with you. He looks to me more like a guy who could potentially play at the NFL level, but he should be in the practice squad. And the fact is that the Ryan Pace has made some mistakes in developing rosters every year, and I think that's another one of his mistakes right here. That guy.
And the thing with Eddie Goldman is it's concerning now because first of all, he out last year because of COVID. This year comes in, misses a ton of practice, right, and then gets COVID, and then he comes in back, plays in that final preseason game, and now all of a sudden he's got a back injury, and now he missed practice again today. So, we talked about the Bengals. Bengals have some offensive firepower, guys. They got some, they got this receiver, Jamar Chase, that everyone was talking about him not being able to catch football. Well, he came out last week and put on a show against the Minnesota Vikings. They got T. Higgins. They got, a good quarterback in Joe Burrow. Their offensive line is not there yet as well. They're kind of developing and getting better, but, they have Joe Mixon in the backfield, so they can easily throw it and pass it on you as well. So, for those who are kind of chalking this up as these are just the Bengals and it's an easy win, this might not be an easy win if the Bears do not clean up their blown assignments, their communication issues in the back end, and also get a little more stout up front, especially if Eddie Goldman's not playing this week.
Yep. All right, I put together some of the plays from Khalil Mack's first 2 series, just so we can get kind of an indication as to what was going on with him. Let me let me go back here. So this is the very first play of the game, first offensive play for the Rams, first defensive play for the Bears. And you'll see Khalil Mack at the top of the screen on this running play, and he just gets effectively blocked.
Right. And this is, I believe was that the receiver? No, that was a tight end. Looks like got him. Yep. So, and this is where Mac, one-on-one, you expect Mac, especially versus a tight end, to go ahead and be able to, get rid of that bad blocker and then just kind of crash down and be able to make a play on the running back there. So yeah, this is one where you typically don't see Khalil Mack being blocked one-on-one by a tight end. So,
And I was just gonna say, Pusha T in the chat room said, that he in that previous play, he says, I've seen Mac beat blocks like that, and a tight end blocking Khalil Mack, that just
right.
should not happen.
Right.
And it's clear that in combination with the scheming and the double teaming and the chipping and his sometimes, that was a knock on him when he was at the Raiders, that he would take plays off. And it almost looks like this first play, he took it off because he should have pushed that tight end aside and got in on this tackle.
Yeah, that's the thing with Mack is, and it just, again, going back to same thing we saw with Eddie Jackson, that 2018 season, Nagy's first year here and Mack's first year here as well. It just looked like, and now, by the way, that looks like he's holding the tight end. It's got a nice chunk of his jersey there on the inside shoulder. So that could also be something that, we didn't catch there as well. So, but still, it doesn't excuse him to be able just to go shed him and get rid of him real quickly. But it just seemed like when he was his first year, he was just flying off the football, first step quickness, getting upfield. Then he hurt that ankle halfway through that season. And it doesn't seem like he's been the same type of explosive player off the line of scrimmage. So maybe I'm reading too much into it. And then last year, obviously we had all these, injuries, he was on, it looks like an injury report every week. It seemed like, with different ailments from shoulders to ankles to knees to back, whatever, you name it, and you name a body part. And he was on the injury list last season. So, and this is the first week. You assume he's healthy. He didn't play much in the preseason at all. So, it can't really excuse in terms of why he's not able to get off that block, that particular one, other than the fact that it looked like the tight end there was at the end there was holding his jersey there.
Right. And it's important to say that on that last play that we saw Darrell Henderson pick up 6 yards. That and the 16 carries that he had, half of his carries, he got at least 5 yards. And so the broadcasters kept saying, the Rams haven't got their running game going. Well, that's because their deep passing game was effective. When they did run the ball, they were running it effectively with Darrell Henderson.
Right. Towards the second half, like third quarter into the fourth quarter, you see them picking up some more yards in terms of running the play. There was one play that I don't put in my list, but you could just tell it was a 3rd and 9, and it was in the fourth quarter. And you could tell Sean Desai was totally outmatched there because he had the defensive line standing up. So he had 2 defensive linemen, and he had a bunch of his linebackers and nickel backs back there. And I don't know if there was a sort of audible call at the line of scrimmage. I don't know if just this play came in from McVay like this, but they just got back there and shotgun, handed the ball off to Henderson. He ran up for 14, 15 yards, easy first down conversion on 3rd down. So totally outgets the in terms of Sean Desai, totally got outmatched there.
All right, let's look at the second play. Mac, a nice jump off the line of scrimmage, in my opinion.
First step, has one-on-one. Looks like with haven't seen the right tackle there.
Right, but again, gets rid of it so quickly. There's just no way he could have an impact.
Exactly. I was going to get to that. See, that's the thing is, like, with these quick hitting plays, these timing rhythm plays in this kind of system, sometimes even if he gets a good first step off the line of scrimmage and he times it well, the ball's out there so quickly he hasn't make an impact there on that play.
Right. Now, the third play of the series for the Rams is their touchdown. Everyone's pointing the finger at Eddie Jackson and Gibson, which they rightly so. But I think what a lot of people aren't talking enough about is that this was part of Sean McVay's scheme. Danny has pointed it out already a couple times in the show, is to roll out away from Khalil Mack. Make him don't give him a chance to make a play. How many times did we see Matt Stafford roll towards Mack's side? I think just once the entire game. Every rollout was away from Mack. And so Mack on this play, he actually follows the running back out onto the flat.
Right, because in case there's a throwback to the running back, but yeah, I mean that was something because he's so far away from the play, he's rolling away from it. There's no way he's going to get to Matthew Stafford,
Right.
and corral him or sack him. So he figures, hey, in case they go back here to the running back, he's trying to sneak out on a real route out of the backfield. Let me go ahead and just try and be a deterrence here in terms of in this particular play. But again, this is the one we talked about where Eddie Jackson got turned around, and it was the big touchdown pass to Jefferson.
All right, so now it's first down, their second series, and there's Mac at the top of the screen, gets kind of lost in the shuffle on a rollout. That's that one rollout that I recall seeing that was towards Mac's side, but they kind of sucked them inside.
But again, I think if you went back, I think the tight end or whoever's at the end of the line goes in and kind of does a chop block there and kind of dives at his knees, I believe, to stop him right there.
Yeah, you're right.
So it kind of slows him down there. And then now he's got to recover himself and get back upfield and try and get Matthew Stafford. But again, Stafford with that quick release, we saw there his ability to change his arm angle, Stafford that is, and get the ball around Mac and into his receiver Cooper Kupp's hands.
All right, so now it's second down, and there I put the circle on Mac at the top of the screen.
So here,
go ahead.
No, here we start off with a tight end on him, but then there's the tackle right there. So whoever says that he was chipped once or twice, needs to be placed here. We've already seen chips, whether it's in pass protection or in run blocking. He gets chipped all the time. So there's always at least one, possibly two, possibly three guys assigned to Khalil Mack at every single play. So there, the tight end chips him, releases out into the play there. But then the tackle is there, Havenstein, to go ahead and pick up the rest of the block. So
right. And there they, even on a busted play, they run away from Mac.
Right.
I think they were going to run behind the right guard on this play, or maybe Stafford thought that it was going to be a pitch. I don't know if he was pitching it right or left, but when Stafford saw it was a broken play, he said, "I'm going to run over to Quinn's side, not Mac's side."
Yeah, I'm going to get away from the big guy over here. So
yep. Oops.
That's the thing is, like, there were some times though I did see Mac one-on-one with the right tackle, and he didn't win. He didn't win the black, right. That battle there. So again, whether it's Stafford getting rid of the football quickly, or it's just they're scheming to bring two or three guys subtly at Mac. It's typically how you see these once you play. Watching the game live on Sundays, you might not catch this, but when you go back and watch the replay and see the subtle things that the offensive lineman or coaching staff does to go and slow down Mac, you can see his effect on the on the offensive game planning and what they do to make sure they have guys that are accountable for Khalil Mack and they know where he's at every single snap. So I think someone in the chat mentioned, I didn't catch the name, but what I would do with Mac if I'm trying to decide is I try to move him around. I try and make it as difficult as possible for these guys to zone in and hone in on Mac and know where he's coming off of. Because if he's going to rush off the edge every single down, whether right or left side, it's easy just to bring that tight end in motion or just tell the back, you're chipping here, give this guy help, whatnot. But if you stand him up and you don't let him, a lot of times he was effective a couple of years ago running those loops, those stunts with Akeem Hicks specifically. Right. Hicks comes in inside, Matt comes up, loops around them and comes up in that little gap there and gets to the quarterback. Stuff like that, just to get him freed up from those double teams, some of those chip blocks. I think would be a nice way to see Mac, get more effective and become a bigger presence on defense.
Yep. All right, I think this is the last play of that second series. It's the next to last play. 2nd and 9, and then now this is the last play, the 3rd and 5. Inside pass rush, and he's immediately picked up by the guard. Watch this. After this play right here, there he goes off the line of scrimmage. He's hit immediately by the right tackle, and then the right guard.
The guard's right for him. Yep. So right there, he's he's got 2 guys that are pretty much assigned to him there. So again, that's double team. Going back to whoever wrote that article, saying that Matt got chipped, rarely in these games. But if you break down that tape and you see, it might not be, right away. You might not see it right away, but you see subtle things where offensive, right tackle starts off on him, right, slows him down, and next thing you know, there's a guard now coming up, backing him up and picking him up. So that's the thing with. We saw that tight end chip him initially, and then he releases him. Then he goes out into the pattern, runs a route, But now the right tackle has gotten back, and he's gotten some a little bit of a head start. He's gotten to his set spot, and now he's just sitting there waiting for Mac to come at him. So Mac's done this, or he's seen this stuff throughout his career for the majority part of it. The one thing, if you're the Bears, again, you got to scheme and get him loose and free, and try, be able to get him away from some of that stuff.
Cesar, we talked about Eddie Jackson at the top of the show, so you probably just joined us a little while ago. Please take a look at the top of the show. Some excellent stuff from Danny about Eddie Jackson and so forth. We want to move on and talk about a few other things. Bill Lazor, the offensive coordinator, was asked at yesterday's press conference, how do you go about developing a game plan? And he said the first thing you do is you identify what you do best.
Mm-hmm.
So, Danny Shimon, what do they do best?
Well, that's a hard question, because honestly, I don't know what they do best. I mean, if you go off of the first game, it's David Montgomery. David Montgomery running inside on inside zone plays. With those three guys blocking inside on run plays is what I would build off of. Right now, if I had Justin Fields in there, then now I'm building my game plan with Fields and Montgomery, and then I go from there. Right, I'm doing some read options, some zone runs. Try and get Montgomery loose, and then if not, then I'm starting. If I do get Montgomery loose, now I'm sucking up that defense on some play action. And then now you do some rollouts, get Fields out in the loose, out of the pocket, throwing downfield. So this is how I would run it. But my bread and butter right now, after just 1 week, is David Montgomery. He's the guy that looks like to me came into the season hell bent on showing everyone that he's a lead back and he's a premier NFL running back. So I would just run that bell cow until they can stop him. Even if you're down by 10 or 13 points, I will still give the ball to the running back, especially when you're effective against one of the top defenses in the NFL. So that's my thing. That's what I would do. Now, of course,
allow me to interrupt you, because I got a question related to what you were just saying. One of the things that I'm concerned about is that the running game was so effective because the Rams were saying, go ahead and run the ball. Go ahead and run the ball. We are just going to stop you guys from completing passes 10, 15. Our great defensive backs are just going to stop A-Rob and Darnell Mooney. We don't want to see highlights of Darnell Mooney beating Ramsey and stuff. We're going to stop that. And so that allowed for some more running room for David Montgomery. Are you concerned at all that maybe the Bengals will say, well, now we need to make some adjustments because we don't want Montgomery running for 100 yards against us?
No, for me, for the Rams, if I'm there, I'm saying, hey, Dalton, you go ahead and beat me. I got Jalen Ramsey on one side here. I got Aaron Donald rushing your ass. I got Leonard Floyd coming off from the outside. I go, you try and prove you can beat me. So I would stack there and make sure David Montgomery doesn't get off. And I would have Andy Dalton try and beat me.
Yeah, but that's not what they did. I mean, they allowed the run and stopped anything deep.
I don't know if they allowed the run or if I think the Bears were able to run the ball on them.
Okay.
I think it's not like they loaded the box and said, all right, we dare you to throw on us. No, I didn't do that. But as they're out there trying to stop that run, but it's just the Bears blocked it up. We saw that the first play with the inside zone block and that gap that they created, that crease they created. And I think that's what the Bears do best right now. Throwing the ball downfield after one game is not what they do best.
Yeah. All right. Good point. I saw a great comment here. Where is it? If the Bears are losing at halftime, can you see Fields starting the second half?
I said earlier. Yeah, I said if the offense looks bogged down again, first game at home, you know the Boo Birds are going to be out there, right? And that's going to be loud. And I think that might be a time where he goes ahead and says, Andy, we're going to just let Justin see what he can do here. Maybe start off the second half, and if he continues to play well, and there's momentum building, I think he keeps him there. And then I think from there, that's when it becomes Justin Fields' team. Guys, for me, I don't know if I said this last week or not, but for me, the season really starts when Justin Fields starts. Because as of right now, it's just all we know. Andy Dalton's just a placeholder, and he's just they're hoping to get a win here and there with Dalton until they feel ready to go ahead and give Fields the team. But this season for me starts when Justin Fields starts, and that's when it gets really, really important for me, because that kid's development and his ability to make plays on offense is going to spark this team, I feel. And I think then you'll see the entire unit kind of rally around that and bring some life, some hope to it. People are talking heads on ESPN all talk about they don't want to kill Justin Fields' confidence. This is a very, very confident kid. He's got a real nice, even, calm demeanor about him. He doesn't get too rattled up. He doesn't get too down. If he throws 2 interceptions or he throws 3 touchdowns, the kid is the same even keel, and that's what you want to see in your leader. They're not going to rattle Justin Fields. They might trick him. He might throw a pick here and there. You might not be able to pick up a blitz coverage and all that stuff, but they're not going to rattle him. I'm so confident in this kid's confidence and his demeanor and the way the moxie he plays with. That's not going to happen.
I totally agree with you. Anyone that is saying, yeah, you're going to destroy his confidence. Yeah, you don't know this guy. You have not done your homework on this guy. You have not heard him talk. You have not talked to people closest to him. You have not talked to some of his competitors. There's people that played against Justin Fields who talk about him like that. This guy is tough, man.
Right.
He's got nerves of steel. So that's not
guys like if you've got Trubisky. I don't want to pick on Trubisky, but guys like Trubisky, guys like Jared Goff. Those are guys. If they get up there too early, they can get rattled. They'll lose confidence. They'll probably go in a tank. A guy like Zach Wilson, who was very confident at BYU, he's a guy I worried about a little bit with the Jets because of the lack of talent around him, the media spotlight with being number 2 overall pick. And I think if he gets off to a bad start, I think that could be something that could put that kid in the tank. But you know what? The Jets just threw him out there, right? The Jets threw him out there. And, he looked a little overwhelmed in that first 3 quarters of that game. But what happened? I know that the opponent was playing some garbage defense, some prevent defense, but you know what? The kid got better and more confident. And then you saw his talents take over. You saw him making some off-platform throws. You saw him showing off some of that arm strength. So now that's a positive step for Zach Wilson. He says, you know what? I belong here. I have plays on film now that show me that I belong here. And that's what's going to happen here with Justin Fields. It's just a matter of giving him the opportunity. Now, his offensive line might be the worst in football with the Bears, that is, in terms of pass blocking, but we've seen it in the preseason, guys. He's the guy that's got that play clock in his head. He's got that pocket presence. If it's breaking down, he can get out, and we've talked about it multiple times. He will look to make plays downfield. He'll look to find receivers before he tucks it and tries to run with the football. So, I'm so confident in this pick. I was confident in this pick when they made it. I was confident in the kid when I was scouting him back for the draft, and I was elated when they drafted him. It's just now letting him out there and letting him show his talents. No, the only thing for me that can slow down and hurt Justin Fields is Matt Nagy's play calling. That's the only thing I think that can slow him down.
Yep, I totally agree with you. I do think, I'd love for your opinion on this. I do think that we're going to see Fields play more in this game, and that the packages that he will be in won't be just one play, that there will be a sequence of plays. And I just think that's the natural step in his progression. And then we could see him start against Cleveland on the road against a tough Browns defense. But I don't care what defense you're facing. You got to put him in there.
See, I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind seeing him get a series or two. You get a series in the first quarter, maybe a series in the second quarter, and see how it goes. If he's building momentum, then keep him in the game. Don't just pull him because it's Andy Dalton's turn to come in. So I would like to see that. I like go back to what we talked about, what Dave Wantz had said after the game. Give him just a red zone plays. He comes in because the red zone package is usually put in on a Friday, the last day of the week. So that way he gets all the reps in red zone practice. And then when the plays are, when it's time to play, red zone plays in the game, he's all repped up. He's gotten all the reps in practice, so he's ready to go. That's something also I would like to see as well. But yeah, I agree. I think the more you give them, the more plays you give them, the more exposure you give them. At Cleveland, it's going to be a tough way to bring them in. I would personally, if you're going to do that, I would probably hold off on that and just give them Detroit the following week at home is what I would probably want to do. But if you're not going to play them now against Cincinnati, but if you play them in the second half against Cincinnati, like we talked about here, you get to second half and the Bears go on and win, then yeah, start them at Cleveland. But if you're doing series here, a series there, and then just give them the full-blown starter against Cleveland on the road, that it might be a little bit tough.
I think we can all agree with this.
Get your shit together. Get it all together and put it in a backpack. All your shit, so it's together. And if you got to take it somewhere, take it somewhere, Take it to the shit store and sell it. Or put it in a shit museum. I don't care what you do. You just got to get it together.
I mean, you can't argue with that, right?
Can't argue with that. And actually, I'm more looking forward to now to the weekly Bill Lazor press conferences than I am to the Matt Nagy press conferences.
Thank you. Yes, that is so true. Absolutely true.
It would be funny if Bill Lazor the next week all of a sudden doesn't talk to the media. I'm curious how that happens.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? All right. Anything else you want to add before we close this chapter of Bare Truth?
No, again, just going over that game. It's finally done over with. We can move on to Cincinnati, like Bill Belichick famously said. It's on to Cincinnati. The only thing is with this Bengals team, like I talked about earlier, is guys, don't take them for granted. This team has got talent. We talked about some of their position skill players with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon on offense, and then the defense. They're bringing it versus the Vikings. So I mean, they're pressuring Kirk Cousins all afternoon last week. They caused I think 4 or 5 false starts and a number of holding penalties. Trey Hendrickson comes over from the Saints, the guy who had a breakout year last year with 15 sacks, and he's just picking up the pace there with Cincinnati. So this team's got some talent, guys. So it don't be thing these are the Bengals. These are not the Bengals. These are actually this team can actually come in and play. Now I don't know about their coaching staff. The coach made some decisions last week that kind of had my head scratching there a little bit, but talent wise, this team can play.
Hugh Evans says, Danny, film study is life. By the way, I saw a couple of people with it looks like you got a new nickname, the Shimonator. You heard that?
like it, Shimonator.
Yeah, there was a couple of people who posted that in the chat. And I just want to add before we go that it's getting down to a critical point in the coaching career of Matt Nagy. He has lost the confidence of the national media. I mean, he's being ridiculed on almost every sports morning show that I tune in. I get a quick glimpse. I mean, it's like the biggest story. And Mike Greenberg over at ESPN's Get Up is saying he's saying this is the biggest story, that this guy won't start Justin Fields. And it goes on and on. And while there are some people in the national media who still say, yeah, give him time, like Adam Schefter, still growing, you don't want to throw him out there. 90% of the people say it is now Justin Fields' team. And if Matt Nagy doesn't wise up and get his quarterback, his prized quarterback, ready to get out there as quickly as possible, then he is going to irreparably damage his coaching career. He won't be able to get a head coaching job anywhere else, because it is so effing obvious that the better athlete, the better chance to win is with Justin Fields. It's ridiculous to me that he does not realize that. And perhaps it's because he wants to be such a nice guy and he gave Andy Dalton his word. And it's almost like the worst thing that could have happened is for the Cincinnati Bengals, Andy's ex-team, to be so early in the schedule because you feel like maybe obligated to start him and stuff. Screw that, man. Be a man and do the right thing, Matt Nagy. That's where we're at. And so this game here against the Cincinnati Bengals, I think is going to be a huge game in the coaching career of Matt Nagy. If he blows this because of his decision to stick with Andy Dalton, he'll never get a head coaching job, I believe.
The one thing Matt Nagy's got to be careful of is he cannot lose his team. If he loses the confidence of his team, he's done. He is done. And it's only week 1, right? And we're going into week 2. We've already heard the offensive coordinator kind of talk some stuff here. Marquise Goodwin was talking some stuff as well during the week as well, in terms of not being able to get the ball downfield and all that stuff. So, the players know who can play, guys. This is the one thing is players know players, right? They know if that guy's a dude or not. And, all respect to Andy Dalton, I'm sure, they all like him and he's a cool dude and a good guy. But he is what he is at this point. He's a veteran backup quarterback. He's not a guy that you can go out there and say, this guy's going to lead us to a victory every single Sunday. The guy that's got the potential to do that is Justin Fields. And again, I'm not saying Fields is ready to go in terms of being, fully, developed and ready. He's going to have some learning curves. He's going to have some bad throws. He's going to have some bad reads. But that's part of the learning process. That's how you get better, as a young quarterback in the NFL. But he's got the talent. He's got the world talent that could be special. And just to kind of slow his progress down, just because you've made a promise to Andy Dalton when your own offensive coordinator is saying that there are no limitations on Justin Fields, that he was ready, in his opinion, in the preseason to play. what we were saying, although you and I were saying that Justin Fields at this moment gives the Bears the best chance to win week 1 versus the Rams. So if you lose as a team, you're done, Matt Nagy. I don't know what else to tell you.
Now, and the irony is that Bill Lazor, who used to coach Andy Dalton, and so probably made the case to bring Andy Dalton to the Bears, is now saying, yeah, this guy's ready. So what the hell's going on here? What do you think about what Censored One says? What if ownership won't let Nagy play him? Ever consider that? No, I don't, because I don't think
because ownership wants to win. Ownership wants to sell jerseys. If Justin Fields comes up and lights it up against Cincinnati, boy, I mean, he's already top 5 in jersey sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if he lights it up. Those jerseys are going to go, through the roof. Fans are going to be excited. Everyone's going to be, yelling, "Hey, we got a quarterback. We got a quarterback." Similar to the way I yelled at when they drafted him. But it's just going to be something that's going to just drive the excitement around this organization to another level. And I think that's what management wants. Management wants to win, and you want the fan base to be excited. And I think one way to get them excited is to have a young franchise quarterback.
I love talking football with you, man. I wish we could do this for another 3-4 hours. And maybe we will someday if people go over to our swag shop and buy some stuff so that we can pay some more bills here. It's deepdishtees.com/barroom. Head over there and buy yourself a barroom hat. Look at that great logo behind Danny's left shoulder there. Draft on tap. Yes. When you buy a hat, you're actually putting some money in Danny's pocket. So that would be really, really nice. Thank you for at least considering the idea. And I think that's it. I can't wait for Sunday's game. I wish I could go to sleep and then wake up and it's kickoff.
First you got to listen to the Barfly Tailgate show. Listen to those guys and get us prepped up, get us all fired up for the game.
That's right.
We'll start talking
Absolutely. And listen to the Fantasy Football Goon Show, because I need all the help I can get. I need a victory. I don't want to fall behind 0-2. The only good thing about falling behind early in the season in fantasy football is that you get that first pick or two in the waiver draft, which is how I've always, built my team up. I get off to a slow start. I don't panic because I'm going to have an early pick. But when I lose and I have a good score, then I'm picking in the middle, and those 2 or 3 players that are hot picks and waivers, they're not available to me. So
who are you trying to pick up in waivers this week?
The guy that replaced Raheem Mostert.
Oh, Elijah Mitchell. That's a rookie from Louisiana. The guy was down at the Senior Bowl.
Right. Did you freeze? Oh, look at you. Froze momentarily. You were like this. Very cool action shot. Yeah, he was down at the Senior Bowl. That's right. I forgot about that. But and by the way, I can't wait to start talking about some of the draft coverage we'll have. And now with the East-West Shrine game over in Vegas, we might have a decision to make here, a business decision. Mobile or Vegas? Mobile or Vegas? Or aren't they in the same weekend though?
Oh, I didn't see dates. Are the dates were announced?
They are.
Usually East-West Shrine is a week, typically week before the Senior Bowl, but that was when I was in Florida, so I'm not sure if that's changing. Or not.
Yeah, I think they moved it. I think it's the Pro Bowl weekend now, which is before the Super Bowl.
Right.
I'll double check that, but if they are holding them the same weekend, then you go to Mobile and I'll go to Vegas. Okay.
All right. I'll do that. Either way, it's going to be a great trip because we're going to see some good talent. We got people now running these 2 All-Star games that are just top notch. We've talked about Jim Nagy before. He's been on our show before and on Draft on Tap and what he puts out. We just talked about Elijah Mitchell, a guy from Louisiana that he brought up on the Senior Bowl. And look at him. You were hot and heavy after him and on the waiver wire. I was able to get him on my other 2 leagues. So, but that's an auction league in terms of the waiver wire. So we won't have to worry about that. But I mean, it's going to be awesome. If you guys, if they're 2 separate, weekends, maybe you guys buy some more hats and t-shirts and Aldo can send us all to both games and we'll give you guys some nice sound bites and some actual, real live, scouting on the scene there.
That's right. And don't worry, even if we don't have a first round draft pick, there are going to be some gems in this upcoming draft. Dan's already been studying tape. And so he's already starting to identify second, third, fourth round picks. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And one of the other storylines is just the competition that Eric Galco and Nagy, the senior director of the Senior Bowl, the executive director of the Senior Bowl, the competition they're having to get the best players for their bowl games. So that's
why typically when you said the same weekend, it surprised me because other All-Star games do not want to go up against the Senior Bowl because all the agents, all the premier players know that's the bowl, that's the creme de la creme, if you will, of the postseason game. So I'd be surprised if they went head to head same weekend versus the Senior Bowl.
I'll double check that, and we'll report on that next week on Bare Truth with Danny Shimon. You are the best, brother. I really enjoy doing this with you. And again, don't forget, Barfly Tailgate Show will get you started 8 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. on the East, and then immediately afterwards, it's Joe and Adam with the Fantasy Football Goon Show, and then it's Bears and Bengals. And right after that game, John Buffone, Tyler Ellis, and myself will be here. And Danny, if you want to jump in Sunday after the game, if you're available, you're more than welcome to. All right, brother?
Yeah, I'll be here. Just give me a call.
All right, you got it. Well, take care, everybody.